topic of this video is something that I've been thinking about a lot. You know, on the comments of my videos, I read people give me ideas about, what to do in the long term and getting disability and everything. And a lot of people I talk to online on IM Messenger and whatnot, they do the same thing. They ask me about what my long-term goals are, and etc., and so forth. What they're failing to understand is the reality of being homeless. The reality is that long-term goals evaporate in the face of a day-to-day struggle to get food and find someplace warm and safe to sleep, and just trying to steer clear of the cops, because cops always fuck with homeless people. They see a homeless person walking through their town or whatnot, they fuck with them. That's all there is to it. I've already had more run-ins. I've already had more run-ins with the cops since this all started than I've had in 5 years. And it's because I'm out on the streets. They see me, and yeah, I fly a sign, get a little bit of money for food and whatnot. But then, so I get screwed with by the cops. The ones in Southington. The only reason they was going to give me any help was basically to get me a bus ticket to get me the fuck out of their town. That's what that was all about. They just wanted me out of their town. But the reality of the situation is that you have no long-term goals. It's good to have hope, but you can't dwell on it. You can't say, well, this is my long-term goal, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to, getting disability or getting on any kind of health insurance or any of that stuff. There's one simple thing that stops me from doing that, and it's the same thing that stops me from getting work and anything else, and that's not having a place to live. If you don't have a permanent address, you can't get a job, period. There's no employer that's going to hire a guy that walks in off the streets, looks like he ain't shaved in a couple of days because he hasn't, or more than a few days, doesn't have some place to sleep, doesn't have any place to put, because they always ask you what your address is. The overpass the overpass of the interstate is not a valid address. The sidewalk next to the park is not a valid address. Most homeless people don't have phones. I'm lucky I have a track phone. It's a prepaid phone. I've still got my Cricket phone from when I had it last summer. It's turned off. If I was to put the $55 on it or whatever it is, I could get it turned back on, and then I'd have a phone. But what good would that do? I mean, seriously, what good would that do? Simple fact is that I might have a phone, but guess what? That phone ain't going to do me no good if I don't have an address to put on a job application. And with my health the way it is, there's not too many things I can do. I did come up with a long-term goal. The plan is, right now the plan is basically to survive, to get through the next month and a half, 2 months, until the carnival season starts and I can go back out to work on the carnival. And that's good for spring, summer, and most of the fall. I know, what's my long-term plan after that? Well, my girlfriend will have us an apartment, and I'll go back to where she's at, and I'll go from there. Well, I was looking around today online, and I come across Swift Transportation. Truck driving is something I could do. That's an occupation that I could do, because I'm not afraid of driving a truck. I already know how to back one up. I already know how to take one down the road. I know how to hook it up and all that good stuff that comes from being on the carnival. I don't have my CDL or even my driver's license. But getting a driver's license ain't no big deal. I get my driver's license. Swift Transportation has a driving school. So my long-term goal now is to get through until I go back up to Massachusetts to be with my girlfriend, and then I'm going to try to get my CDL, and I'm going to start driving truck. Hopefully. That's about the best I can tell you. You know, I don't have too many long-term goals is all. You know, because I'm not going to sit around and make plans that 20 minutes from now are going to change because I have to go out and fly a sign for money or whatever, or or I'm hitchhiking someplace. It just doesn't work like that. You know, the day-to-day struggle of being homeless is, the reality of it is finding some place to be where you're not going to get run off by the cops. Luckily I'm smart enough to know that, I have a couple of dollars in my pocket. I go to McDonald's. I'll sit at McDonald's for a while. And I'm like, today I've been here hours. They don't mess with me. Not all McDonald's are like that. Like the ones in Scranton, for instance. They had a sign on the wall that said 30-minute time limit while you consume food. No loitering. Wow, really? It's freezing cold outside and you're like, no loitering? That's because they didn't want it. Scranton is completely intolerant of homeless people. Now, the whole idea is basically, like I said, to drive a truck and learn, get my CDL and go to a truck driving school. And that's something I can do. It's something I feel like I can probably do. So, that's what it is. That's my long-term goal. Thanks for watching, and thank you for all your comments and prayers. Remember, if you want to donate, look in the description. I'll tell you how. And y'all be safe.